Okay, guys, mass immigration strikes again, this time on the streets of Belfast, and Sinn Féin and all the politicians are doing their very best to blame everybody but themselves. Hi there, welcome back to the Politics Podcast. Very sad news since my last episode. Slaughter on the streets of Belfast. A Sudanese migrant literally tried to behead a Scottish man living in Belfast in the same apartment block as this migrant. By all accounts, he tried to help this migrant, and what thanks did he get? He was near decapitated on the street in front of, by the way, all the community, all the neighbours were out roaring. I think it happened at 10:30 at night, roaring at this man, this Sudanese migrant, and he did not stop until a very, very courageous man went in and got his son's hurley stick and battered him round the back and head. And only then did he stop. So thank God for courageous people still among us. But the fact remains that a migrant nearly beheaded a man on the streets of Belfast. And all the politicians, since then, the last 2 nights, there's been trouble in Belfast, there's been rioting, there has been businesses smashed up and houses burned, and nobody condones anything of the sort. But the politicians have to answer as to why people are so angry, because they never do. Yet another atrocity on this island, and the politicians turn around and blame everybody but themselves. These politicians are to blame for mass immigration. They have not addressed any concerns over the past few years. And Sinn Féin are as bad as the rest. I've told you before. I want to play for you now Michelle O'Neill's reaction to a question from a reporter from GB News who asked her, now the audio is very bad of the journalist asking the question, but I'll let you hear yourself. The audio picks up then as Michelle O'Neill is answering the question. The question is basically, why do Sinn Féin defend open borders, open porous borders from the south to the north? Because this Sudanese migrant travelled from Sudan to Paris to Dublin Airport, was let in by our immigration officers and then headed up the north and claimed asylum there. So I'm going to play you Michelle O'Neill's pathetic answer to the GB News reporter.
Okay. First Minister, you insist it was porous borders in Northern Ireland. You have watched, your party have watched violence in Dublin and in the Republic of Ireland in very similar things. Why would you insist on no values and porous borders from the Republic of Ireland into the North? If there have been checks, if there have been lots of these things in place, can you explain to one of your party's representative, Fein, Jonathan Newton's constituents, why he is now in hospital this morning? Because your party insisted in porous borders inside Ireland. I must say, I do absolutely praise your 2 officers last night. They were amazing. But what I am being told on the ground is that over-policing of Scarlet at the weekend has made those communities think twice about believing the PSNI and go the first person. Yeah.
Quite the monologue there, Doug, and fake news, and on the day that's in it, totally inappropriate. I don't know any country that has open borders. I believe in an immigration system that is fair and managed and enforceable and compassionate and human rights compliant, but that is not the debate for today. The debate today is about our society, about our inclusive society, our welcoming society. Our conversation today is about our thoughts are very much with that gentleman who finds himself a victim of that violent and horrific attack last night. Our thoughts today are about creating calm in our society. So I think the message from here, from this platform, is very consistent, and I have no truck with your fake news.
But you didn't answer the question. What was your reason for the borders to stay?
I have no truck with your fake news.
There you go, guys. She has no truck with his fake news. Absolutely pathetic. Pathetic response from Sinn Féin, and Mary Lou's response was just as pathetic. In the Dáil, she stood up and had a big spiel. She started off by saying the beheading, or the attempted beheading, was the stuff of nightmares. And then she goes on to talk about people's genuine concerns over immigration. But then she circles back to leave us squarely in the stuff of nightmares because she offers no solution. And we know to mass immigration, we know what Sinn Féin's solution is. A multicultural and diverse society. Believe it or not, that is Sinn Féin's solution. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Mary Lou with her "there can be no veto" during the community protests we had last year. She said there can be no veto in relation to immigration or the amount of immigrants that come into the country. It's absolutely shocking and it's pathetic. And the GB News reporter asking Michelle O'Neill now how they can defend that they always come out after the fact. They always come out after people have risen up and are angry and have no other way of showing their anger. Not that I'm condoning at all burning houses or smashing up businesses or anything like that. But Sinn Féin and all the politicians do not address what happens before that. When an atrocity happens and people are absolutely livid and frightened, these politicians come out and say, yes, people have genuine concerns, but far-right X, riots, Elon Musk, blah, 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 blah. They never actually say, hang on, forget about all that other stuff. Let's deal with the atrocity and let's just make a plan now as to what we're going to do. Are we going to deport them? What are we going to do? Are we going to deport criminals? Are we going to not let people from these third world countries who it seems that beheading is obviously the norm. If someone annoys you over there, beheading must be the normal reaction. That's not the West. That is not what we will tolerate here. We will not tolerate it. And I always say it's bad enough now. What's it going to be like in 5, 10, 20 years? These politicians, including Sinn Féin, are throwing our children's children to the wolves. And this crazy nonsense after an atrocity, when people are rightly angry, this absolute pathetic nonsense they come out with about social media, X, Elon Musk and the rest is absolutely revolting at this stage. And it's so transparent and we can almost see it coming. I'll give you an example of 3 absolute, all I can say is loopers on Sky News. I'll just give you an example of the absolute nonsense that they're on about.
That what we're seeing here is quite frankly Elon Musk deliberately working with the far right to stir up an incitement to violence, and that seems to me to be so serious that the idea that he's just being a bit mean, I think was the word he used, or a bit obnoxious. No, he's doing something much, much more serious, and we should be taking real action. And certainly anybody who's on Twitter who's stirring up the kind of hatred that then leads to violence, and they're asking for it to lead to violence, they should be charged. That should be an offence.
It is inciting violence, and that is illegal.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Elon Musk would deny that is what he's doing, but, you know, and he's a trillionaire, so I don't think the government's going to go after him that aggressively after all, but he's not in this country either. They should put Elon Musk in jail.
Well, it would send a strong, I mean, I don't know whether or not...
By the way, he doesn't probably pass that
I don't think prison is probably, unfortunately, the appropriate charge for him, but he is inciting violence and hatred. And to my mind, that means he should have some penalty for sure.
Well, let me bring...
Oh my God, we should put Elon Musk in jail. How about we put the beheaders in jail? How about we put everyone facilitating mass immigration in jail? How about that? Elon Musk has every right to say what he wants to about somebody nearly getting beheaded in Belfast. I have every right to say what I want to, because it means we are all at risk of the same thing happening. A randomer. We are sick of it. The trial is going on now of the Parnell Street stabber who attacked the little children coming out and their special needs assistant or their daycare assistant. And the mum of the child who was most severely damaged, who spent the longest in hospital, she has come out now and said the little child is in a wheelchair. That little girl was so happy that day coming out in November 2023. I remember seeing the little Paw Patrol bag thrown on the ground after she was taken to hospital. He had a 32 centimetre knife. 32 centimetre, imagine, and she's a little tot. She is now in a wheelchair. And her mum says she cannot get her to sleep. The entire country should not be asleep when all this vile, manic stuff is going on, all related to mass immigration. It is so, so upsetting. And all these politicians who facilitate mass immigration, when an atrocity happens, they roar and shout about X, about social media, and brush it all under the carpet and it's all forgotten about. Well, long ago, before the dawn of social media, if someone attempted to behead someone on the street, we would all be the same reaction. We would all have the same reaction. It has nothing to do with Elon Musk. It has nothing to do with X. But by the way, if X didn't exist, we wouldn't know the man was nearly beheaded by the Sudanese migrant, because as soon as that happened, as soon as I saw that awful graphic video on X 3 nights ago, what does the media say the next day and that evening? A man was stabbed in Belfast. That's all we would know. A man was stabbed. That is what we are talking about. Only for we saw the actual thing happen on X, we would never know. So of course X should exist. We live in a high technological age. Yes, X should exist. It's social media. They just don't like it when we find out the truth. And now they're twisting it and turning it and trying to blame Elon Musk, which is absolutely comical, only for it's such a serious, serious issue for all of us, to blame Elon Musk and to say that he should be thrown in jail. Sky News, hang your heads in shame. It's absolutely revolting. We want mass immigration dealt with. We don't want Michelle O'Neill standing there and saying our thoughts are with the victim. Our thoughts are with the victim. If we had been listened to, people like me and others, if we had been listened to, that wouldn't have happened to that poor Stephen Ogilvy. The poor Scottish man. It's absolutely outrageous. And you guys watching this video should actually call it out to your family, friends, work colleagues, or local politician. Tell them you're not putting up with the nonsense anymore. Forget about X, forget about social media, and forget about riots or whatever happens after the fact. Can we deal with the atrocity and with what has caused the atrocity? And with the risk of all of us now at risk of getting beheaded or stabbed. It's no exaggeration. We all know it. That's why we all feel at the pit of our stomachs a fear. And it's time now everyone got courageous and everyone started calling it out. And Sinn Féin, I want to reiterate, are not the solution. They want this sort of society. They've had motions under Ardèche about this sort of society, a multicultural and diverse society. That is what their hope and goal is. And it is now Thursday evening and we are just a few hours away from that EU Migration Pact 12th of June deadline, when our government, including the opposition, all of them thrown together the last few years, are going to hand the keys of Ireland over to the EU, over to Brussels. And forevermore, they will dictate how many migrants we get. It's absolutely outrageous. And I put a post on X the other day when that beheading video was shown. I went to Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil on X and asked them, please tell me you're still not going ahead with this EU Migration Pact opt-in on Friday. We still had our opt-out. Of course they're going to go in full steam ahead. Of course, they've built the giant super centres now. They've built the IPAS centres. Everyone's welcome. The entire globe, as Roderick O'Gorman put out there a couple of years ago. He invited the entire globe in 8 different languages. And they're coming. Everything's been built now. Everything's in place. To hell with the community. To hell with people who have any concerns whatsoever of being beheaded, of children being stabbed, of nursing home patients raped in their beds, Alzheimer's patients, of teachers out jogging, of gay men beheaded. They don't care. All they'll say at the time of an atrocity is our thoughts and prayers are with the victim. Please don't incite violence, blah, blah, blah. That's all they'll say. That's all they'll ever say until we all stand up. All, including left and right. All of us, and none of us want to be beheaded. That's all I'll say, guys. As always, set up an account on X. As I said, only for X the other night. I would not have known. I would have thought a man was just stabbed in Belfast. As horrific as that would have been, we saw the actual truth. He took out his left eye, his right eye. I don't know what will happen. He cut his throat and he tried to decapitate, to behead this poor Stephen, who has hearing difficulties, hearing issues. And he's fighting for his life. So we pray for Stephen and we see through the fake party that Sinn Féin is. We have no time for fake parties, Michelle O'Neill. Okay, guys, like and subscribe to the channel if you can. Share the video, share the info in the video with your family and friends and work colleagues, and do not be afraid. That's the main message. Do not be afraid. Now is the time. Talk. They're in the wrong, we're in the right, and always have been in the right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.